Hello and welcome to Viewpoints, Dominion DMS's video podcast series where we highlight our vendor partners. I'm Sharon Kitzman, president of Dominion DMS, and with us today from all the way across the pond, we are speaking with Jack McMahon. He's the general manager of CMT Scanner. Jack, welcome.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I was looking at your website a couple of days ago in preparation for this podcast, and you have some amazing solutions. One of the things that you claim on the site is that you provide the auto industry a fully integrated vehicle damage assessment and repair solution with market-leading scanning technology and automated reporting systems. Maybe you could break that down a little bit for the rest of us and tell us some more specifics about the products and services that you offer to dealers.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it is a bit of a mouthful on the website, so it's good to break it down. So I guess like a few others you've had on the podcast as well, we originally created this technology for ourselves internally from the industry. So we originally created the technology to quote damage of vehicles, like assess vehicles for insurance companies.
Oh, okay.
And what we were finding was when we were doing those assessments, it was taking so long. It was taking 15 minutes per assessment, and we were doing thousands of cars per week. So it was developed to solve a solution. And it wasn't until mid 2022 that we were approached by a dealership that pretty much they said, where did you get this from? How can we get in our dealership? Because they saw how quickly we were pushing cars through it, assessing those vehicles, getting a full 360 of that vehicle, and then using that information to do autonomous quotes and manage workflows and everything from there. So it happened naturally. And I guess to break down what we do, we assess and document vehicle conditions through computer vision. And use that data to then have an output of different outcomes based on the client. So,
okay. Excellent. I saw some references to AI or artificial intelligence as well. Here in the US, I'm sure in Australia as well, that's a real hot topic. Dealers want to know about embedded AI whenever possible and how it can drive efficiencies into the processes in their dealership. So how is the AI embedded in your solutions working, and what does it really do for the process?
Yeah, it's definitely a hot topic at the moment. When we've been playing with it since 2018, we started doing this technology. And back then you said AI to anyone and they thought you were building some computer killer thing that's going to kill everyone. And it wasn't as sexy as it is now. So it's nice for it to be at the forefront of everyone's minds. And I was at an expo the other day, and the room just was full just because I had AI in the topic. So it's definitely a hot topic. But I like to break it down into two different ways. The conversational AI, which I can kind of talk about now. Most people are familiar with conversational AI with ChatGPT coming out.
Right.
And then you have machine learning AI. So we embed both of those into what we do. So we have machine learning AI in the way of when a vehicle drives through, we've spent so much time and so much knowledge has gone into it to identify a dent, to identify a handle or a wheel. And there's that reference point now that it knows if there's a little bit of variance with a dent that may be 20 mil that is 30 mil, it can kind of have that reference point to go, okay, I know what that was at 20 mil, I can see at 30 mil, it's the same thing. And it's kind of self-learning from there. And then we then use that data that comes in to then, with conversational AI, have the conversation with the driver to go, there's damage on your vehicle. It would cost X amount to repair it. Would you like to get that done today, for example? And then the conversation then goes, if it's approved, to the repairer to go, there's a repair that has been approved. So it's that workflow management then that AI comes into play in that way.
Yeah, that's great. It's amazing. I don't know why we didn't adopt it sooner, but it is amazing technology that we can continuously allow to learn, which is exciting.
Mm.
So I'm sure all the dealers listening to this have already figured out that you're not in the United States, but your company is based in Australia. I worked for an Australian-based company for a little while as well. I know it's a little bit of a different market from the US. So are there differences in the product or the way that you go to market or the way that you serve your clients here?
Yeah, so I guess founded in Australia. That's where we started, and I think it was a good thing because a lot of companies I've seen have used Australia as the test ground,
Mm.
and then they've expanded from there because a lot of the time you don't hear what happens down here. Um, so yeah, no, it's essentially the product at the end of the day is saving time and making money, and I think that's pretty universal
Universal,
across the
yeah.
globe, in the way of if it can do those two things, let's go. I think there was there was a dealership in the south that I was at last year, and I think the one thing that was different, I think with us with Australians, they're not as good as at sales as Americans. Americans are very good at sales, and I was at a dealership with this dealer, and he was looking at putting our product in, and he said, I think he was doing about 60 service ROs a day. And I
Okay.
said, oh, this is probably going to cost you around 2.5 grand a month.
Mm.
And I'm not going to try and do his accent, but he pretty much said, look, I'm spending about $30,000 a month in just fixing cars, fixing things that we didn't break. Um, so I was the one saying, making sure there was an ROI out of it, and he was selling himself.
Yeah,
So
he was.
I think, I think we're pretty straight up Australians. We kind of say it how it is.
Mm.
Whereas the US, they were selling themselves on it. So that's probably the only difference. But in the way of the technology, it's pretty global.
Yeah. So saying that Americans are good at sales is kind of it's a nice way of saying we're pushy. We're pushy.
Yeah, well, you're good at it.
So that dealer that was spending $30,000 just in repairing vehicles that he himself and his team didn't damage, it's a nice round number. Dealers are also spending about that same amount of money on a monthly basis here in the US on software in their dealership, right? Whether it's the manufacturer requiring it or the federal government requiring it, or just things that they need to be competitive. Most dealers have somewhere between 16 and 20 unique software applications that manage the day-to-day in their dealership.
Mm.
And when I think about how broad of a solution set that is, and how almost all of them require data from a DMS provider like myself, it's a little daunting to think about the dealer sitting in the middle and really wanting the best experience possible, not only for their employees or their team members, but their consumer. If you think about integration between CMT scanner and a DMS provider, mine or anybody else's, is there something we can improve on? Is there a better set of data, a better workflow that we can offer additional software providers who are looking to integrate with the DMS?
Yeah, I think like when we set out to create this product for external users, we really focused on what we were good at, what our strengths were, and that was computer vision technology and the data that it provided. So we didn't set out to create a user experience. We wanted to partner with people who were experts in that field. That's not what we do. That user experience. So it was more about how do we populate the likes of a DMS so that users are using what they use every day, they're familiar with it, and they're not adding another software component to their plethora of applications already. Another password to remember. We've already got so many
Yeah.
passwords to remember. Not adding to that, but enhancing what they already use, I think.
Mhm. Okay,
Mm.
great. Here in the US, and globally, we've gone through the process of the pandemic, labor shortage, chip shortage, which led to vehicle shortages. Then here, anyway, we had high interest rates, all of which had huge impacts on dealers and their operations and their ability to forecast their business. Maybe if you're speaking to a dealer who's saying, oh, I don't know that I even want to spend $2,500 because I'm not sure what tomorrow might bring. What types of things can CMT Scanner do to either help generate more revenue for a dealer that might be possibly be entering a downturn, or protect gross profits for a dealer that's looking to just kind of maintain?
Yeah, I guess essentially we've built our model of usage. So we don't charge for the hardware, we don't charge for installation. It's pretty much just a service as software. So we've done that for that reason, that if you have low months or if you have high months, it fluctuates with that. So that's, I guess, our pricing has focused on that.
Okay.
And I think looking at AI in specifically, it's all about using it to do those tasks that can be outsourced AI, not I guess essentially replacing staff and getting it that way, but looking at what can we move to AI to have our staff focused on key tasks. It may be sales, it may be building that relationship with that service lane with that customer, to make sure that that customer life cycle or that customer journey is maintained. It's things like that we can start to now leverage technology to really get the most out of our people, and also with our people, having them do what they're good at and what they enjoy, to help with retention of those staff as well. I think it's really, really valuable with the use of AI as well. We're finding a lot of good feedback where staff don't feel like they're wasting their time doing those small tasks anymore. They're actually focusing on the key things that drive their role.
Oh, that's a great concept, because it's a huge cost to the business to have to replace somebody if they're not feeling valued like that. So a dealer who might be listening and saying, boy, CMT Scanner sounds like a great solution set, a great company, even a great pricing model. I'm interested. What do I do next? Should they go to your website? How should they engage you and your team so they can get started in a sales cycle with you?
Yeah, of course. So our website is cmtscanner.com, and all of our socials are at CMT Scanner if you're looking for more information on the site. But essentially what we do, we come out on site as a first step, we can always do a live demo online. But what we like to do is to come out on site and assess the site, qualify the site, make sure it's going to fit. Because I guess being a straight up Australian, I want to make sure that it's going to make you money. We don't want to give you something that you're not going to get the ROI out of. We come from the industry; it was built for the industry. So we'll come out on site. That's all free of charge, and just make sure it's suited. And if it is, then it's a month wait time for that installation. If you're looking at doing it, and no cost to the installation. It's just once it's in, you use it for what it's made for. So.
Okay, great. And if you're a Dominion DMS user, you can go to dominiondms.com to our partners page, and we list all of our partners alphabetically, or you can search by department. So CMT Scanner would be in that service department category. I really enjoyed our time today, Jack. Before you leave, though, I always ask the same question of everybody who attends the podcast. Do you have a car story for us? Something that you remember maybe from your past, your youth, that really resonates with you and the automotive industry, which we both live and breathe every day?
Well, I guess the first car, it's always going to be the first car, right? So the first car was a Honda Civic, and I've definitely spent more money on what it was actually worth. So I guess that's in there for that reason, and always will be.
Yeah, yeah. And when you come to the US, do you have any problem adjusting to driving on the other side of the street?
No, I was there for a few months, and I came back here, and I was then doing the other way. So
Oh,
yep,
that's not good either.
we adapt.
All right. Well, hopefully a lot of dealers learned more about CMT scanner from our conversation today, and hopefully they'll be reaching out to you soon to learn more and to get that solution integrated back into Dominion DMS. Thanks so much for your time today, Jack. I appreciate it.
Thank you.